Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Music Made Me. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate the support. Today we're sitting down with guitarist Cole Rolland. Now, he got his start in about 2009, sort of. That's when he uploaded one of his guitar covers to YouTube just for fun. But it quickly amassed a lot of attention, and he realized that maybe it was something that he could do on a regular basis. Well, that's what he's been doing ever since that time, and he has grown to have over 1 million subscribers on YouTube and over 175 million views. In 2019, he finally quit his day job to do it full time. And in our conversation, we talked about that journey and also his original music that he loves to produce. So please enjoy our conversation with Cole Rolland. 10 years old, you pick up the guitar. What spurred that? Let's go before that. Were your parents musical? Did they play guitar at all? Is that what influenced you when you were 10? Or what was the musical stylings of your life leading up to that point?
Fantastic question. So I would say my dad had always played guitar. There's a lot of like musical interest in my family. I know a couple of my uncles are like fairly musical too, but not to the degree of pursuing it professionally. I think that's where things, comparing myself to them, that's where kind of things really changed. And in order to want to pursue something that professionally, it's, you got to give it your all 100% of the time.
Yeah,
you got to
exactly.
really, really want it. So when, as a 10-year-old, part of it was I first got my hands on a guitar like in our household and stuff when my parents just grabbed my dad's old guitars out from the basement one day.
Oh, nice.
And just they left them out and they're like, hey, let's see what the kids will do with them. I was 10. My brother was 7 turning 8. And we just picked them up and we're just messing around with them. And kind of the rest is history. An important detail to add to this, my friend David, who's now like a practicing doctor in Miami, him and I were in the same 5th and 6th grade class. It's when he moved to my town and him and I met and we're instantly so competitive with each other. And he picked up the guitar like right after I did and got way better than me, like
really
so much quicker. And I was like, you can't take that from me, man. Like, you're good at sports, you're smart, like good looking guy, whatever. You can't take guitar from me. And I just like doubled down on that. I was like, that's going to be my thing.
And he's going to be asking for royalties now from your.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he will.
You are where you are.
he's and like, I don't get to see him very often. The last time I got to meet up with him was in New York, 3-4 months before the pandemic and everything.
Oh, okay.
So I haven't seen him in so long, but I'm happy to see him doing incredibly well. And we're still good friends. So.
And I know that you still have the first guitar that you bought, right? When you were 14. You have it in glass?
I do. Yeah. It's actually, I wish you could see it on here. It's in a glass case, like right behind my desk. So I can always see it.
Nice. And
I was just telling, go ahead, Brendan. Sorry.
Before that, do you have any of your parents? Like, do they still have the guitars that you used to play when you were 10 at all?
I don't know. I think they do, but also those kind of got cycled through like when me and my brother moved off to college and stuff before I had a really nice acoustic or I had any sort of endorsement deals and stuff. I was using like our bass that we got for Christmas, like as kids. I was using my dad's old acoustic, stuff like that. So I'm not sure where they ended up. I think they got passed down to my brother and then maybe made their way back home. But
right. And so I heard that Crazy Train was the first song that you ever learned. Mm-hmm. So was that before 14 when you bought your own guitar? Did you learn that within those 4 years of starting to play, or when was that?
I did. There's actually a funny thing about that video that I think I might have only mentioned on Twitch or just like kind of offhand. I know I haven't talked about it on a podcast before, but there was this like small festival. I grew up in such a small town, so like 5,000-6,000 people.
Where was that? Where did you grow up?
Port Elgin, Ontario, in Canada. Like, it's super small. My high school was like, there was one high school for like the whole county. And there's maybe like less than 750 people that went to that at any given time. So pretty small town. Everyone knows everyone. There's a festival at that they have every October called Pumpkin Fest, the most like small town Canadian thing ever. And I played there with my band one year and I played Crazy Train at it. and some guy took a YouTube video of it. And so this was like 2005 YouTube.
Okay.
I think right when it just started. And he titled the video, it's just like super crappy cell phone quality, straight to YouTube, no editing. He called the title of the video, "This Kid Will Be Famous." And
Really?
then I cannot for the life of me find it. Like
I was going to ask if it's still out there.
me and my mom like talked about it recently, and I was like, I would love to find that. That would be awesome to like put that as like a direct comparison to something I've done recently. But yeah.
And you answered one of my questions I was going to ask in your band life, and if you ever had band life back in high school before you got into the YouTube thing and doing all the covers and everything. You did have some bands that you were in before that?
Yeah, like nothing I guess I really talked too much about. I was in like a really like heavy metal band for a couple of years. Nothing I guess even really worth like writing home about, but I learned so much from that experience about like teamwork and what goes into like planning and doing shows on your own, like everything that kind of goes into that stuff. A lot of it was I made a lot of friends like in the surrounding area through that, which I thought was great too. It kind of brought me out of my shell a lot. It put me into an element where I was so comfortable playing guitar, but then to bring it into like an audience element and kind of start to get comfortable doing that. I learned so much from that experience in that way for sure.
Right. And then you're 14, you buy your first guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Now, was Dragon Force the first songs that you started to play and started to get comfortable with?
No.
Yeah. I know, because they're pretty crazy. So what did you start out with before that?
I think so. I went through one of my pivotal moments was this Van Halen DVD that my dad had, and like Eddie Van Halen just passed away in January this year. And I just had all these just reflective memories come back to me. And I spent the day on the couch the day that he passed away, just bawled my eyes out watching old Van Halen DVDs.
And you're answering lots of my questions, because I was going to ask
sorry.
about. No, it's all good. I was going to ask about that as well, because I saw that you had posted about him and that you had mentioned that you remembered like the exact moment that he had influenced your life. And so I remember that moment.
Yeah, man, big one. His playing changed my life, as I'm sure it did for, thousands, countless other guitar players around the world. And that's why his passing was so impactful. Like how we all kind of have that with a celebrity death or celebrity passing in a way where you're like, I didn't know them personally, but like I felt like I did because they had this impact on me.
Yeah,
that was one of them for me, 100%. So yeah, it started off with kind of Van Halen, and then I made the transition into a little heavier, started listening to Metallica, and then it was bands like Trivium, and then I got like real into Dragon Force because I saw the music video for Through the Fire and Flames before that song was ever on Guitar Hero, if you played Guitar Hero.
Right.
And I had genuinely never seen anyone play guitar like that. I loved all of the production and stuff that went into making the guitar sound that way. I was like, holy crap, I gotta learn this, like one way or another. I buckled down like an entire summer when I was 15 and I learned that song. Good enough. And I put it up on YouTube. And when I did finally upload it to YouTube, it was straight off my parents' camcorder, which they still have. I found that at Christmas this past year. And I was like, oh my God, you guys still have this thing that the battery's like the size of my fist on it.
Yeah.
It's so old. And I uploaded that to YouTube, no editing. And it was right in the height of that song being the song to beat on Guitar Hero. And yeah, it was like right place, right time. My first YouTube video ever goes 2009 viral. We'll call it, like, hundreds of thousands of views on it. And I was like, oh my God, guy at my high school comes up to me, and I don't talk to this guy. Like, we run in different circles, and he says, man, I watched your video. It's got so many views on it. And I was like, get out of here. I didn't believe him. So yeah. And that kind of started the ball rolling for more.
And you didn't even see your face in the video.
No. You get like little glimpses of it. And I actually trip and fall at the end of that video if you watch to the end. And no one to this day has commented on it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
No one said anything.
That's hilarious. So when did it switch into your mind? Because from when when that guy told you, hey, your video has 100,000 views, it kind of took you a couple of years, didn't it, to sort of get in the mindset of, oh, maybe that could be something that I could do.
Yeah, it did. Because my next two uploads were both original songs that I'd written. I used software called Guitar Pro, and that's how I made all the drums. And I wrote all the guitar stuff out preemptively, like before actually recording it. I had no idea. Like, I feel like most musicians would tell you that, like their first few projects they work on, you're like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I just started putting things together, and then I got all excited and it turned into something, and then I uploaded it. And that's the tricky part that I think a lot of people struggle with, is the actually like sharing your work in a public setting. That's like one of the first humps to overcome as a creator or any sort of artist.
Right.
But yeah, so I uploaded 2 original songs, and then what really kicked things off was that following fall, I went away to college, and what became the cool thing to do was I started covering like pop songs or hip hop or whatever songs were trending at the time.
Yeah.
And then me and my friends would listen to them at parties, and then every single weekend would be like, oh, what did Cole make this week? Like I would come home from my classes at college and just work on whatever song was hot. And that became like exciting to share with everybody the following weekend.
And so at that point, were you in a mindset of doing music as a career at all? Like, you had played in bands. So along that time, were you still sort of in a band mindset and thinking that maybe you wanted to play in a band when you got older? Or was music just something you were sort of fooling around with at that point?
I don't think I ever intended it to become something that would financially support me. So I was in college for like a variance of engineering. So I was doing like power engineering technology in college at the time. And I never did it for the money, I guess, because and like still to this day, like so many of my videos get copyright claimed. So it was never really for the financial gain of it. It was just, I had so much fun doing it. And it was something great to see, you know, my friends and my peers get excited over. And then it just continued to grow, and you start seeing people commenting on your stuff, positive comments, you know, connecting with people in a way that you never thought that you could before. Like, it was like instantly a small talk thing that people would have with me. Dude, I watched your cover of Eminem, or like something like that. And that was kind of an instant icebreaker that I would have in conversations with people. And it just grew that way.
Right. And so 2009 is when you released that first video. And then by 2015, you were fully endorsed. Like, you had 5 or 6 endorsements for guitars and gear and bags and mics and everything like that. So how did those come about?
It's a great question. I don't get asked that one a lot. I was really fortunate that EMG Pickups took me on. They took me on when I was 19. So I was like basically a kid. And they had enough faith in me. I kind of had a reference or a referral through another friend of mine who was already with them, and they're like, hey, give this kid a shot, basically. And they took me on, and I'm still with them to this day. Like, we did a limited edition run of like a signature guitar for me with Kiesel and EMG, and EMG like pulled through like damn rock stars on that whole campaign. So yeah, I still am with them, and I'm proud to say that I'm loyal to those brands, and I have a great time working with all of them. So after I kind of had that referral, I had a good catalog of videos and of music for them to at least check out. You know, it's not like I didn't have anything up there.
Right.
The other ones started to come a little bit easier because EMG was like a reputable brand to have on my side. And then, you know, my A&R guy at EMG introduced me to ESP guitars, and then it kind of went from there, and they knew the people that worked at Jim Dunlop, and then it just kind of snowballed from there. Always be nice to everyone, be respectful, be professional, and good things happen a lot easier that way.
And what was your mindset when those started coming in? Had you ever thought about that before that started to happen?
Not at all. Like, I remember my first endorsement, I was so damn excited. Like, I probably didn't even like sleep that night when I got like that. That was crazy. And I think it's really humbling to reflect on that and be like, if Brendan, if you could have a conversation with like 19-year-old you, and he would be so pumped. That's kind of the way I try to look at that. Like, I'm like, what if I told 19-year-old me, like right after I got my first endorsement deal, that I would have achieved like X, Y, and Z by the time I was 27. So yeah.
2015 also, you hit 100,000 subscribers.
Mhm.
So at that point, how big of a deal was that in what you were doing?
That was awesome. Yeah, it's funny. The day that I took like an engineering based job in my career path that I went to college for, that same exact week that I had like my basically my orientation week at that job, was the same week I hit 100,000 subscribers, and
Oh,
YouTube
really?
sends you that physical plaque. And I'm just felt like I was living this duality for so long, where I had this stable career path, but I was also like, I was working so hard on this other one. And then eventually that came to a crossroads where it's like, okay, you have to pick now. And which one are you going to pick?
And talk about your originals. Your
Mm-hmm.
first album that you released was in, I have it written down somewhere, you could probably tell me, 2017.
Yeah.
So where do those fit into everything?
Man, originals have been something, I'll be vulnerable about it. That's always been something I've struggled so much with, because I have personally found a lot of ease and comfort in covers, and they have allowed me to supplement my original work. And then when it comes to my originals, I'm a perfectionist, almost to like a dangerous point, where it almost like prevents you from releasing stuff. However, I got over it. I've got a new single coming out on April 9th with Brandon Soller of Atreyu. I'm really, really pumped on it. We actually finished this song almost a year and a half ago.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, and we were supposed to shoot it last March in LA, all in person. Everything was so planned. We were good to go. And then we all know what happened in March of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
So we pulled the plug on that. And at the end of February 2021 was when I was like, hey, we got to get the song out. I don't think I'm going to be able to like come into the States anytime soon. So it's my first time shooting like a music video of this production level remotely.
Right. Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet. I'm so nervous, but I trust my team, and I'm super excited to see the cut of it this week. But yeah, regarding the originals fitting in to everything, that I think that those are the things that I want the most attention on. They just take a tremendously greater amount of work to have them come together into the vision that you want them to. So they are very few and far between for me. But yeah, they're the type of project that I want to look back on in 20 years and be like, damn, I'm proud of that.
Right. So you don't ever see a point where you'd move like fully over to doing originals? And
who knows? If I did it, maybe I would come up with like some sort of alias or other artist name to do it under.
Right.
And that way it could be like very cleanly separate, but I would still be the main person. I don't know. I'm literally just spitballing ideas out loud on your podcast.
Let's do it. Let's create something. We're going to create your alter ego.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. That would be interesting. I've seen other artists do that and have it be very successful. Because I have been operating like under my name for like since I began. So
are you creating the entire thing, or are you working with people in the writing of the drums and the bass and that sort of thing? Or are you doing the entire thing yourself?
Good question. So the process has evolved over time. For a very long time, whenever I would have vocals on them, I would essentially create the whole instrumental of the song. And I was so damn scared to do anything vocals for so long. I was terrified of that. I was like, I can't sing, that I can't write vocals. I've never written lyrics. How do you get better at anything? You just got to do it. Like you're going to not be the greatest at first 9 times out of 10, but you got to just tackle it. So I started off just making the instrumentals at first, and then I would pass them off to a vocalist who would write lyrics and melody as top line for that original.
Right.
And now that I took singing lessons last summer, I started singing on my covers a little more. I have originals where I am like lead vocals and stuff coming out later this year. that strategy has been amazing. Learning how to sing and learning how to play piano and then being able to play guitar and knowing how to produce. I feel like those are some like really, really critical tools to writing an impactful song. So I've had, my first stabs at singing lead. I've had my first stabs at writing lyrics, and now I'm ready to share those with people publicly. It gets intimidating when you wait until you have 1 million subscribers on YouTube to sing for the first time. Never do that.
It wasn't, until like 2019 where you first heard your voice on a track, basically.
Yeah.
So
and that was just backup vocals. Like that was nothing.
Yeah. So how intimidating is that for you? You say that you were never a singer. It's not like you've just secretly been a singer all this time.
Brendan, it was goddamn terrifying. I'm not even gonna like sugarcoat that. Yeah. No, don't wait until you have 1 million subscribers on something to sing for the first time. It makes it so much harder to want to actually do it. But I was so glad I did, and I had a really incredible support line of like friends and family and like fans that sometimes get to hear things before they're released, and everyone seemed confident enough in it. I gave it past people that I know will never bullshit me, so it worked out. I did a duet with my friend Lauren Babick, and that was for my 1 million subscriber celebration video. I was like, how can we make this, aside from remastering a cover that previously went viral for us or shooting a badass video with like our band in person, what kind of element can I add to this to incorporate it and make it really special for hitting that type of milestone? So we decided to add my vocals to it, and I'm really glad I did, because afterwards it gave me a lot more confidence to take on more ambitious projects regarding that too.
One of the more, I don't know if it's ambitious, but probably scary is Mood.
Yeah, Mood was terrifying.
Like, I mean, acoustic, and you're singing the entire thing. That
I can't believe Richard talked me into that, man. It's the worst.
That's crazy, especially knowing that you're just recently taking vocal lessons and just recently getting into it. Like, that's one of the most stripped down things you can do, and that song especially is just crazy. So
that song isn't a lot of these new songs that are popping have almost their like rap vocals that are like, it's rap with melody,
right?
And that is nothing, like not even close to anything I've ever attempted before. So trying to track that and get it right is just like, okay, man, hey, we're 50 takes in and you still sound terrible. But that is the best thing and great advice that I've asked people when they're like, hey, how do I get better at guitar quickly? And I'm like, you got to start recording yourself. Same thing with singing, because you're gonna cringe a lot. And you're not going to like what you hear at first, but you get better so much faster. You're forcing yourself to be a perfectionist. You're being really hard on yourself, critiquing it. You're able to kind of pick out little nuances here that you don't like. Recording myself for every instrument that I've learned, including my voice, has been the best way to get better, like hands down.
And talk about the current state of YouTube, social media, from when you started this to what it is now. How has it changed for you?
There is too many social medias. I'm just going to say that right now. There are some that I really enjoy. And one that I never thought I would fall in love with the way I did is Twitch. I freaking love Twitch. It is so cool. It is so interactive. I've never had, like, sure, you can build a community around mutual fans or mutual listeners of you as an artist, but to be able to interact with them in real time and like, have them watch you make mistakes live, and it really like humanizes you to people. That has been the greatest pro and the greatest con to Twitch, like at the same time, because I had to like rewire my brain from the YouTube perfectionism mindset to the Twitch exact opposite of that mindset. So that's been really cool to grow a community on Twitch. Social media is so ingrained, I feel like, in everything we do. I've personally struggled to like turn it off while I'm trying to work and like focus on stuff, because there's always, it's just an infinite scroll. You can just like, you could spend forever on there. I don't know if you've ever watched The Social Dilemma, but that documentary opened my mind. Like, I don't even want to say open my mind, but brought to the surface so many things I feel like we already knew were true, but you didn't, like, people didn't talk about them as much.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh damn, okay, cool. So I would say my perspective from when I first started to now is I'm like, hey, it's okay to not spend as much time on there and hustle in silence, and then hit people with something you are damn proud of. Like, I'm much more of a quality over quantity type of person, and I'm always going to be that way. I'm willing to, take the algorithm hit to post less stuff that I'm really excited about than to just create mindlessly.
Well, and it can take up so much time, right? Like, it can take away from the music because you're spending so much time on it, trying to post and gain followers and do this. And like you say, there's like 5 or 6 social medias you now have to take your clip and upload to and add their different algorithms and tags and everything.
Brandon, that's something I want to invent so bad, if it doesn't already exist, is like a central hub that you upload whatever content it is, and then it's connected to all your accounts, and it crops them and like does everything for each social media. Cause like, dude, when I post a video, the follow-up amount of time from when I go live on YouTube to when I'm done posting everything and curating it for each social media thing, it's like an hour to 2 hours. And it never used to be that way, because there's so many different ways that you have to cater them now. So if there was a way to streamline that experience, sign me up. Let's go.
Yeah. Does it ever get you down, the amount of time that side of stuff takes up now?
100%. Yeah. It feels like a lot of time that's spent doing, this is a topic I feel so strongly about. So it's like a really good question. It's something I feel like it sucks a lot of your time if you're not careful. Like, you need to be very disciplined. And I'm coming from a perspective where I've been like not disciplined with it. It has a lot of potential to suck your time if you're not careful and you're not on top of things with it, where if I'm working and I really, really need to get something done, like, my phone's not even in the room. It can't be. Yeah.
And is that a weird back and forth? Because you don't want it to suck up your time, but technically in your career, it's sort of built around that and sucking up people's time, right? And getting
so you're kind of teetering on that dangerous line of it, where I'm like, yeah, I can go on Instagram for 30 minutes straight and lie to myself and tell me I was working, but no, I don't know. I talked to my girlfriend about this like really recently, about kind of how I'd struggled with that. I know like everybody has, it's designed to like consume your time. So you have to be very disciplined with it. Best thing I did after I watched that Social Dilemma documentary, I was like, no push notifications for any of that stuff. Like, if I see it, I see it. Yeah.
And so what are the next steps for you? Like you say, you have your new original coming out next month, and that's
a big one,
right? That's
the big one.
To have him on that track, like, that's pretty huge.
Dude, I grew up, like, I listened to Atreyu all throughout high school. So that was pretty badass feature to secure. And we've got some really big ones like in the works for future original stuff. I wanted this year in 2022 to big time be like the year of me being like, hey, I didn't sing on something for a gimmick. I want to do that a lot more often. And hey, yeah, I've done so many covers over the years, but check out my original stuff. There's so much to explore that's coming up. So,
and do you need that to keep yourself inspired, almost, that original work, so that you don't get too bogged down in the covers?
Man, it feels great to create something that is 100% yours. Like, that's the best thing. And that's not to say that covers aren't great, because one, I learned so much about songwriting from dissecting other people's songs. Like, especially if I rebuilt one from scratch and made my own version of it, like owned the sound recording. Amazing learning experience.
Right.
2, really great for honing my skills instrumentally and vocally. And 3, they helped me grow online tremendously. Like, I bet my original songs, I don't know, there's always a chance I'm wrong, but they probably would not have had even close to the attention that they've gotten if I didn't supplement them with covers around. And then people are more likely to be like, oh man, like, you wrote this song? That's awesome. So yeah, I think they've been very beneficial for me. And I know tons of other artists that have gone down that path too, and it's worked out great for them.
Right. And there's so much that I could talk to you about. I'll have to have you on again, but I want to
Mhm.
ask you one more question and then I'll let you go. You
Sure.
quit your day job in 2019.
I
How
did.
freeing has it been over the last, 2 years
Oh
of
man.
being able to do this full time?
I couldn't go back to it. It's I will fight to the death to work for myself for the rest of my life because I love it so much. It's not an easy thing to achieve or uphold. It's definitely not like for the weak-willed to work for yourself because all of and any sort of conflict that you have to deal with like on a day to day, it like is your responsibility. You are the boss. You have to deal with all those things. But man, does it feel awesome to be the boss. It feels great. And yeah, I don't think I would have it in any other way. That's the way I would sum that up.
Do you look back and wonder how you were able to do it all while having a
Yes.
day job?
All the time, man. It was just this is crazy. So my work schedule was like a 12-hour shift rotation. So I would
Oh,
work
okay.
3 night shifts from 5:30 p.m. to 6 a.m. And then I would be off for 3 days. And then I would work 3 day shifts from 6 a.m. till 5:30 p.m. And then I would be off for 6 days. And then that would like rinse and repeat. So
Right.
sometimes I would have shoots or like a show I'd have to fly out to, and it would be between those nights and day shifts, or just be on that break. And I would be like bouncing back and forth, like doing all this stuff, coming into work looking like I'm on death's door,
Yeah.
like all this. And I remember I made so many great friends at that workplace. I've just been very lucky to have met so many nice people. And one guy that I was like really close to, he's like, man, how long are you going to keep doing this for? Like he said that it was like pretty close to the end. And that I still think about that to this day. And like I'm coming up on my second year of not
Yeah.
being there, which has absolutely flown by. I'm excited to have a normal year where I can freely travel and stuff. Hopefully very soon. Yeah. I feel like my whole experience after leaving, because I left November 2019 and then pandemic came March 2020. So I had like
Right.
4 months of true freedom with it. But I'm excited to really get back at it. And, you know.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. We'll look out for the new single next month and then for a few new originals throughout the year, right?
Absolutely, man. Hold me accountable.
Awesome. That sounds great. Well, yeah, I want to have you on again because there is so much that we haven't talked about. So if you'll do it maybe in a couple months when you have some originals, we can come back and talk about that.
You got it, man. I would love to. Thanks, Brendan.
Okay. Thank you so much.
See ya.
Okay, bye. Thank you guys once again so much for listening, and thank you to Cole for stopping by and sharing his story. Be sure to keep an eye out for his new music dropping throughout 2021. Please also be sure to like, share, follow, subscribe to us on whatever streaming service you are listening on, and head over to social media and give us a follow there as well. We're on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook. Just search The Music Made Me and we should pop up. Thank you guys once again so much for listening, and we'll see you next time on The Music Made Me.